Well, I'd like to tell you about the real Rick Allen. I probably got into trouble when I came up with the title because then it made me think, who is the alternate Rick Allen, or is there another one? I started thinking a little bit more about how I would talk about myself and my experiences. And I realized that we're all multidimensional, that there's a lot of different sides to us. At times I can be very professional. At times I can be very silly. If you know me, then you've probably seen that side of me at some point. I can be very reserved, at the same time being a basket of nerves. I don't know if you can tell that I'm just going nuts in here on the inside. That's only on the inside. The outside we're trying to be nice and cool. And then also there's times when I'm adventurous and times when I'm shy. So I thought I would kind of talk about these things that kind of make up my persona in terms of where I come from and where I am now. So we have someone else come on in. Hi there. So I was actually born and raised in Philadelphia. So I'm an East Coast guy, a transplant. I grew up there with, I was one of two kids. My mom and dad had just one other child. My brother was 10 years older than me. But I had an extended family. So I had lots of cousins and relatives, aunts and uncles. So it was a great, large family. Whenever we would get together for holidays, it was always fun and lots of people in the house. And I became very close to them. And then I had an opportunity to go away to school, and I decided to go to school in Michigan. So I went to Michigan State, where there's a number of people I know from Michigan who work here. And it was a great place to visit. It was very, very different from Philadelphia. Philly was big, dirty, old. It was progressive in some ways, and in other ways it was just part of the Rust Belt. But it's changed, but that's another story. In living in Michigan, I got to see how people were just genuinely friendly. They were very, very different from people on the East Coast. It was such that people would talk to you and you would be surprised, you don't know me, why are you talking to me? And then finally I got disarmed and I realized that people were friendly. It wasn't necessarily something they wanted to do or get from you. It was interesting going to school there. I went to school during a time when my major being labor relations and human resources, during that time there were a lot of things happening in the labor world. This was a time of, I'm really going to date myself now. If anybody's heard of Jimmy Hoffa, he kind of went missing while I was in Michigan. We think he's part of the Renaissance Center, which is downtown Detroit on the river. It could be that he's in the Meadowlands, as other people think. But anyway, during that time there were a lot of things happening. There were all kinds of automobile strikes and mine worker strikes, and I started wondering if that's really what I wanted to get into, because sometimes it got violent and there were just kind of weird things happening. But it was a part of my education. It wasn't where I was going to end up living, so it was a nice way to get a good education, an interesting education, and see something different. A lot of my friends that I met in Michigan decided that they had had enough of the winters there, and they were all talking about moving to California. Well, at the time, by the time I finished, my brother had lived out here for several years, and I had a cousin that lived out here, so I thought, well, maybe I'll check it out. And while I was back in Philadelphia during the Christmas break right after school, my cousins told me that they had a job waiting for me in California. And so within 6 weeks, I was in San Jose. Very different from Philadelphia, very different from Michigan. This was Silicon Valley in the early days, and I didn't have a car. That was not a very good experience, I'll tell you. You have to make do and get around in ways that they didn't really have public transportation like Philly did, and it wasn't small like Michigan State where you could walk across campus or so. Anyway, I progressed and got into a career in human resources. Thought I was going to use the labor relation, but a lot of the companies in Silicon Valley were not unionized, so therefore there was no need for that. So I got more into the recruitment side. And one of my friends was an actor, and he was telling me that if I was going to move to LA, as I mentioned, that I should try to make to see if I could be an agent for him and get him an acting job. So I moved to Los Angeles many years ago and looked into being an agent and was told pretty much, can you be the lowest scum of the earth? And I thought, what? I thought if you were a good guy that would really kind of help you out there. But apparently not, because when you know what agents do, they pretty much get people jobs, but then they kind of feed off of them and take money from them. Sometimes taking money from them on things that they haven't helped them do. But anyway, as I want to come back to this, I've been down here in Southern California. I got a chance to work in human resources in a number of different companies. I've been doing recruitment for most of my career. I really enjoy that. That helps with the part of me that's very open and friendly, my professional side. I also get a chance to enjoy the lifestyle down here, and so it's my fun side, adventurous side, gets to get experience also. I've enjoyed working here at Northrop Grumman. I've been here for just under a year and hope to keep going. Right now I'm a contractor, but hopefully that will change at some point. I'd love to go full-time. And that is just a little bit of an insight into the real Rick Allen.